Welcome to the Darkstream, Vox Day, voxday.net, and unauthorized.tv. Thanks for firing it up. It's been a very busy week here. Got a number of things to get into, most of it good. And so, first of all, congratulations to Owen and the Bears. Really happy to see that the whole Beartaria Festival has gone so well. Wish we could be there with you guys. Just delighted to see how strong the community is, both virtual and in real life. That's good to know. And it really deals with the topic that I gave the stream, which is why we are unauthorized. And Owen is demonstrating one of the primary reasons why he is unauthorized. I was explaining this to someone who is interested in working with us, and I said, well, you just have to understand that the mainstream hates all of us. They have a different line. I'm supposedly the Nazi. Owen is supposedly the cult leader. They've got all this sort of thing. I don't know what it is they use to try to discredit Razorfist. I don't know offhand, but all of us are subject to the same kind of treatment. Even the legend Chuck Dixon. Well, they try to avoid actually calling him names. They just whisper about him and disemploy him, right? So as far as I'm concerned, and I know as far as Owen's concerned, and I don't think Razorfist gives a damn one way or the other. But the thing is that it's a badge of honor, and it is a sign of credibility when you are as relentlessly rejected and attacked by the mainstream, because the mainstream, of course, is a sea of lies. And the Rogue Roman says, I sometimes wish we were half as scary as our enemies think we are. Well, we are. Because you need to remember what it is they're scared of. Think about this. I gave an example of the reason that Owen is unauthorized is because even after all of their best efforts, he can bring thousands of people halfway across the country to hold a huge festival. Imagine what kind of arenas he could be filling if he hadn't been completely canceled, deplatformed, and unauthorized, right? And I am scary to them because I just sit around here in my office, I think about things, I write a little bit, and the next thing you know, there's something like 41 billion references to the concepts that I'm inventing. Imagine what kind of cultural influence I would have if I wasn't deplatformed and canceled and suppressed. It's really remarkable when you think about it, and it's understandable why they do that. Look at how big John Scalzi is. John Scalzi doesn't have a third of my talent as a writer. Any of my novels will stack up very well against any of his. You want to take his very best science fiction novel, the Tolkien pastiche, Old Man's War? Go ahead, compare it to what I did with A Mind Programmed, which was also, it was even more of a pastiche. It was basically a rewriting of a public domain book. It's not even a competition, and yet, he's off winning Hugo Awards and Dragon Awards and signing $1 million contracts and being advertised on Audible and all that sort of thing. Whereas I think A Sea of Skulls has 28 reviews. I mean, and if you want to understand why that's funny, look at how many reviews SJW's Always Lie does. Theoretically, a less interesting book, theoretically something that shouldn't be anywhere nearly as big as a book that's a legitimate rival to either The Lord of the Rings or A Song of Ice and Fire. And yet there's like nearly 1,600 reviews of SJW's Always Lie. Why? Because that was during the sort of Wild West Amazon period where they weren't suppressing things. It just goes to show you how little thought goes into what most people do. They just absorb whatever the mainstream pushes on them. If someone is told that a writer is really good, there's a certain percentage of people that are going to believe their own evidence to the contrary. It's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not bitter about that. I understand that's the way it is. I've known that was the way it is since I was about 20 years old. Once you get told specifically by the top editor at a major newspaper, here's where you'll be permitted to participate, and here's where you will not be permitted to participate. I think I was 22 years old at the time, and I'm literally being told to my face, it doesn't matter how good you are. We think you're really good. We think you're so good that we want to keep you here and let you operate within certain parameters, within certain guidelines, but no further. I mean, to put it in perspective, the paper had been around for something like 160 years, 170 years. And in all that time, I was the 6th columnist to ever get nationally syndicated. And if they had permitted me on the op-ed page, I definitely would have been nationally syndicated there. How do I know that? Why do I say that with such confidence? Because I got picked up for national political syndication by the top syndicate in the country from WorldNet Daily. It would have been a hell of a lot easier for them to pick me up for national syndication if I'd been writing political columns for the St. Paul Pioneer Press, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Boston Globe, all papers that my weekly game review column appeared in. I mean, it may sound funny to those of you who have only started, reading my stuff or paying attention to me in the last 10 years or so, but I used to be a legitimate mainstream, journalist is not really correct because I was a columnist, but basically, I was higher on the media totem pole than pretty much any of the journalists from the papers outside of the New York Times and the Washington Post. Now they had limited my options at the time, hadn't completely deplatformed me, but I knew that I was operating within a box early on. And I was fine with it. I didn't really care. And then I was told back in 19 years ago, I was just kind of getting going as a novelist, and Charles Stross told me, he's one of the better science fiction writers out there. He can be hit or miss, to be fair. He can be a bit hit or miss. But when he's on, his stuff's really entertaining. I really like his, Lovecraftian / Bondian laundry novels. They're really good. And he told me, look, you're not going to be published by any of the big genre publishers because of your politics. If you don't, basically, if you don't learn to keep your mouth shut, you're not going to have a career in science fiction. And he was correct. I don't. Doesn't matter how good my books are. You know, you didn't play along. You don't get to be part of the platform. And like I said, I understood that because I'd already been informed of that. What was it? Would have been in '92, I think. So I'd already been informed of that 13 years before. And of course, the idea that I was going to like keep my mouth shut was ridiculous. The stuff they were complaining about were legitimate political columns that were being nationally syndicated by Universal Press Syndicate. Right? So, you know, a lot of people have a tendency, especially when people who are approved, you know, the Strosses, the Scalzis, all the wannabes, you know, they think that if you're talking directly about it, that you're complaining about it, you're whining about it, you're crying about it. I'm not. You know, I love what I do. I love the freedom of being able to do whatever the hell I want. You know? I mean, Midnight's War, the comic that's sitting there behind me, that was fun. That was cool. We even have a theme song now. I will play it for you later tonight. And Joseph, are you saying Wittgenstein wasn't the greatest mind of the 20th century? Wittgenstein was a fraud. He's a total fraud. All of these people are frauds. Why do you think they all suffer from imposter syndrome? Scalzi knows he's a fraud. That's why he's running around trying to collect every award that he possibly can. And we are going to talk about the decline of the Dragon Awards, you know, why it happened, how it was inevitable. We're going to talk about that on Thursday on Archaven Nights. So if you haven't been tuning into Archaven Nights, either here on Unauthorized or on John's channel on YouTube, I highly recommend it because we go pretty deep into some interesting areas, and a lot of stuff comes out that often I don't know about. And we also have interesting guests ranging from Razor Fist, Ethan Van Sciver, Chuck Dixon, you know, a lot of big names from the comics industry. And you know, so anyhow, I'm not complaining, I'm telling you how it is. It's not just how it is now, it's how it's always been. Is it worse now than it was? Yes, in some ways, definitely. But because of the path that has been forged by the Unauthorized, by Owen, by Razor, by me, people now know they don't need to play along. It is possible to operate very, very successfully outside the system. Are you going to be as big as you could have been with massive multinational corporations pushing you? No, you're not. So what? There is little keeping you from going as far as your natural talents and your hard work will take you. You just have to be patient. You know, like Mike Cernovich said, it takes 7 to 10 years to become an overnight success. You're working, you're doing nothing, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, there's 10,000 people here with me. You know, and it's a great thing because the accomplishment is real. I've said many times, I would rather, like right now, on Unauthorized, there's 16 people watching. I don't know how many on D Live. Maybe somebody. Oh, in fact, I don't know what happened to my D Live chat comments. There we are. Hey, there's Rachel. She agrees. Archaven Nights is wildly entertaining, even if you're not 100% into the topic. This is true. 40. Okay, so there's 40 people on D Live, 16 people on Unauthorized. So there's only 56 people, right, watching live right now. Back before I got kicked off of YouTube, I had regularly over 1,000 people live. I would much rather have 56 people who are willing to pull their noses out of YouTube's backside long enough to go looking for me than to have 10,000 people live there. It's really been interesting to see how, what kind of difference 200 loyal, like-minded people can make that 200,000 Twitter followers can't, even if they're not bots. They can't, they don't, and they won't. I'll give you an example of it. I can show you right now. This is one of the examples. Just today on our NDM Express store, we launched the official USA Dorking Wanderers FC merchandise. And this is the English Football Club, which frankly had a pretty disastrous game today, but too many injuries early in the season. But it's very difficult for American fans to get their merchandise because you have to pay almost as much for shipping from England as you do, to buy it in the first place. So what we did is we said, hey, why don't you let us make some of the stuff, and we'll just sell it from the store. And so, for example, this I really like the white on black. Actually, this is my favorite, the DWFC cap. It's got this cool variant on their logo. It says DWFC on the side, and then on the back, the team sponsor, Castalia Library. How cool is that? This one is a very, I'm not sure if I don't know how to go back in this. Maybe if I click on, I bet if I start over here, there we go. This one is a very special one. This is the, for those of you who are in the Dorking Owners Club, this is a special Owners Club cap that we created with their permission. In fact, they don't even have this in England. So it's got the old original badge from 1999. It's got the 25 years, 1999 to 2024. Castalia Library on the back, of course. This doesn't actually cost $400. It just connects to their 25 for 25 program that includes shares in the club, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have a code for all of it. It's really $34.99, and for all of the owners who already participated in it. And I was shocked how many people did. I think as many as 30% of the people who participate in that program are from our community. They were just blown away by it. And anyhow, we'll send out a code that will, knock like 370 bucks off the price. So, and if anyone does happen to buy a cap for that price, they'll get everything else that goes with the program. We're not seriously trying. Basically, we didn't have a way. He couldn't figure out how to get the code thing working properly, so we just put it at a price that nobody's actually going to buy it at for now. But the point is that that's what, as our small community, we have the ability to do that and help other people, other organizations, and so forth. Look at the whole Neil Gaiman memes thing. The Neil Gaiman Uncovered is now starting to post memes that we were posting on Neil Gaiman memes. And you don't need 200,000 people to make a difference. You need about 200. and we got way more than 200 people. You know. Hey, Rachel, did you guys do anything? Did you guys do a booster patrol thing at the Bertaria this year? I heard somebody talking about it, but I didn't know if they were saying it was going to happen or they were wishing it would happen or something. I was just curious. Obviously, I will not be performing. Epic set. Did anybody record it? I hope somebody recorded it because I'd love to play it here on a dark stream. So, um, anyhow, that's awesome. I'm delighted to hear that. The Rogue Roman has a good question. How is the Sigma the one who can actually get right wingers to organize for once? Well, because I'm not organizing anything. I don't do organization, and the reason that I can get people to cooperate is because if you have a vision and if you have a bit of uh, infrastructure, then people have the ability to use it. Now, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Infogalactic has been basically a failure because we learned that all the conservatives who were complaining about Wikipedia would rather cry about Wikipedia than utilize a functional alternative. Social Galactic turned out to be successful because people actually want to, people are willing to use a Twitter alternative, and they really like one that is limited. Wikipedia and Infogalactic are more successful the more people that use them. And they have a fairly large minimum quantity requirement to make it useful. That's not true for Social Galactic. For Social Galactic, there's maybe 2,000 people, and that's a great number. You get plenty of discourse going. You get plenty of coordination, cooperation that you can't do on Gab because Gab is too big. You definitely can't do it on Twitter because Twitter is way too big. Rachel says that they did record it. Excellent. Well, would you please send me a download link to the MP4 at some point in time? I'd like to do a stream and play that. It's so easy to use the Chrome extension to go immediately to Infogalactic too. Yeah, I mean, everything about Infogalactic is there except for two things. It's not easy enough to just sign up and become an editor. We made a bit of a mistake there. We were focused so much on operational security that we made it essentially unusable. We are going to relax that, and hopefully, maybe as Wikipedia gets worse and worse, the case for Infogalactic gets better and better. That's why we haven't shut it down, despite its various issues and problems. At some point in time, we'll get it brushed up, fixed up, and so forth. But the thing is that when you look, okay, thank you. When you look at what we have accomplished with a relatively small group of people, I mean, imagine what we can do if everybody can bring in 1, 2 more individuals, if bring in families, etc., etc. And it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen because the truth is on our side. We speak the truth. They live and swim in a sea of lies. And sooner or later, people can't abide the lies anymore. Sooner or later, the lies get so extreme that people just can't accept it anymore. I mean, think about this. I'm supposed to be the worst person, the absolute worst person in science fiction. The Wall Street Journal described me as the most despised man in science fiction. I'm not the one who's been convicted of molesting children. I'm not the one who's been publicly accused by somewhere between 5 and 7 women of sexually assaulting them. I'm not the one who's paid out over $300,000 in settlements in a single year to 3 different women because I didn't want to contest their accusations. So, and the latter person is literally one of the most admired, respected, and well thought of people. His blurbs are sought by all the publishers. Somebody said that they were at a bookstore recently, and they could not believe the percentage of science fiction and fantasy books that featured Neil Gaiman blurbs on them. And so the thing that's amazing about it is that that's the best they have. You know, he's not even a particularly good author. He's mediocre. I mean, he's better than Scalzi, but, you know, that's not saying much. Sam is exactly right. And the manufactured successes become more and more mediocre and obvious because they're swimming in lies. And the lies have been around forever. You know, there's a hilarious quote of Neil Gaiman, the former Scientologist auditor, talking about Battlefield Earth. Over 1,000 pages, lasers, action. I found it unputdownable. It's a lie. Battlefield Earth is a terrible novel. It is one of the 5 worst science fiction novels I've ever read. I wish I'd kept the very worst one. I think it was a Shadowrun tie-in. There were definitely elves, flying elves with bazookas, firing them at mobile homes. That was, I actually threw the book away at that point. It was so bad, and now I regret doing so because it was so bad. Like, I want to have it just as a negative example. The Rogue Roman says, meanwhile, nobody has heard of John C. Wright. Well, exactly. They might have. He got off to a good start with the Golden Age, Tor, etc., etc. But, you know, I mean, that's one of the dangers of being a creative is sometimes you go down pathways that are, let's just call them non-optimal. You know, John is one of the 3 greatest living authors of science fiction. You know, I think the 3 best writers in science fiction are John C. Wright, China Miéville, and Neal Stephenson. And Neal Stephenson does not have his fastball anymore. William Gibson's also up there. He's not quite as good, but he's probably cooler. I love William Gibson, so you know, I'm a little biased in that way. I mean, I love John C. Wright too, but you know, William Gibson is more my style. You know, Psychosonic, when we first sent out our demo tapes, we actually sent them out with a Xeroxed copy of the face from Mona Lisa Overdrive. You know, because we felt that kind of signified our sound, you know, and it got us to deal with Wax Track, so obviously it worked, right? But anyhow, so I've got some interesting, and I think you'll find it very surprising news. First of all, tomorrow I'll be announcing the Castalia Library book for, I guess it'll be the Castalia Library number 30 for September and October. It is not going to be a Sea of Skulls Volume 2. We are going to do a Sea of Skulls Volume 2, but it is not the book that we are announcing. We are already doing Sea of Skulls Volume 1. Obviously, we'll get around to doing Volume 2. They'll probably ship together, but we've got a reason for doing it this way, and I'll explain in a minute. But first, I've got some good news. So you've seen these lying around. These are some of the test, um, the test pressings, and this is a good pressing. This is a good stamp. The problem is, and the reason that we had to buy a new press is because the one we had only delivered 8 tons of pressure. And it turned out that the Cortina just didn't do, it wasn't capable of putting down enough pressure to do a proper stamp. So I'm very happy to show you guys this picture. This is a newly stamped, newly cased in book done at our bindery in Switzerland. And that was just done today. The pictures were sent over, and we're doing some experimentation with whether we're going to, we were thinking about going with an 8mm gutter instead of a 6mm gutter. We're going with slightly thicker boards. So the books are going to have a little bit more, be a little more sturdy. I mean, not that they're not sturdy, but they're going to be even more sturdy. And we think we've optimized the overhang. If you look at the paper, you can see exactly how much that it hangs over. We don't really like it when there's no overhang at all. And so this is something that we've been experimenting with. And you might say, well, you know, Vox, why would you do a book out of order this way? And you know, what's going on with this stuff? Well, you know, we had a lot of problems with the different machines, et cetera, and I didn't know what would be the best way to get things fully operational. And as you know, I believe strongly in backups, right? So about a year ago, we started doing, you know, trying to make sure that even if we couldn't get one thing going, that we'd be able to get it going somewhere else. So what we did is we partnered with a company in England, a printing company. And so we've been working with them the whole time that we've been getting our bindery going. And so how this has ended up is that Castalia Library now has not one, but 2 binderies that are both going operational in October. And we are also announcing today that I've placed the order, and Castalia History, the 2 books, Cambridge History of Byzantium, are both going to be done in a very elite Spanish cowhide instead of the Italian cowhide that we've been using, that you're familiar with. And so it is more expensive, but because we are, because of the way that we've set things up, we have enough room to be able to increase the quality without increasing the price. So if you haven't subscribed to Castalia History yet, you really should, because the books are going to be off the charts great. You know, we're kind of going back and forth on this, because like, do we really want, you know, these are going to be some of the first books coming out of one of the binderies. Is this something we really want to do? And then we thought, you know what? We have to deliver these books to the oldest press, one of the oldest presses in the world, probably the oldest extant press in the world. If we're going to deliver something, if we have a chance to deliver something to Cambridge University Press, let's blow their minds. Let's deliver something that nobody, at a level of quality that nobody's doing. So we haven't forgotten about the Iliad. We haven't forgotten about the Odyssey. Once we get this going, they are coming. And so, you know, and what's great about this is that if there's a paper problem in one place, if there's, you know, issues in another place, we're going to have the ability to, you know, I bought the two machines, why not make sure we can use them all, right? So anyhow, this is going to be, it's going to be a very interesting fall. Let's put it that way. And so, this is going, like, for example, John De La Rose, he needs 30 leather books from his successful crowdfund for his Galactic Empire series. We think that a lot more people are going to want that. We're actually binding a copy of Ghosts of the Badlands in leather. Midnight's War is going to be in leather. The Rogue Roman says, we may lose indoor plumbing, but not our leather books. Exactly. In fact, this is going to sound crazy, but in the Swiss bindery, we're actually set up to do them by hand if necessary. We went out and acquired some of the tools that were used for hand binding. Now, we don't want to do a whole print run of 750 books that way, but if we had to, we could. So anyhow, I understand this is kind of getting into the boring technical stuff, but I'm genuinely excited about this. And I think you guys will be too, once you see the, what we're able to do and the quality that we're going to be able to kick out without continuing to jack your prices up. Have you guys looked at what Easton Press is charging for books? Folio Society was charging $1,500 for a Neil Gaiman book. Oops. Anyhow, so that's what's going on there. Now I'm going to play something for you, and this is going to blow your minds. Rachel, this is seriously going to freak you out. Guarantee it. So check this out. You guys have heard the song Summertime, right? Does everybody remember Summertime? Paul Sebastian, big 80s voice, good groove. I mean, I can fire it up and play a little bit to show you if necessary. The Rogue Roman says, I have 2 Easton Press books and the quality of the gold stamping is not quite as high as Castelia. Well, I mean, honestly, Easton's not paying, is not paying the same level of attention to quality that we do. They tend to pay a lot more attention to profit margin, which, they're a big company. They have to. There's a really good article about that trade-off that I'm going to post on the blog probably tomorrow. Really fascinating. Okay, some people, this is just a clip. So this is a really good song. It's called Summertime, and it's by my old friend and Psychosonic bandmate, Paul. And I'll just play it for you, just to, so you get the gist. Where do we have it? There we go.
When your world is gone, goodbye, goodbye. There's a warm wind that's blowing tonight. When she's gone in a blink of an eye, I'm leaving that world behind because it's summer, summertime. I don't care tonight. Summertime. Be alright this time. Summertime. I don't care tonight. Summertime. I don't care tonight.
You get the gist. So, Paul's got a great voice. He's a wonderful musician, good songwriter when he actually, puts one together. He's one of those guys who's so talented he doesn't really know what to do, because he can do anything. So I I sent him an email night before last saying, don't freak out, but check this out. And I sent him this. Oops. Hang on. It got started without me. There we go.
Summer, 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 summertime. I don't care tonight. Summer, summer, summer. Be alright this time.
Hang on a second. I got a better one here. Rachel has a bad feeling about this.
Let's get it together. But we were ships in the night, like fireflies in the summer. When your world has gone goodbye, goodbye. There's a warm wind that's blowing tonight. When she's gone in the blink of an eye, kiss that world goodbye. Because it's summer, summer, summertime. I'm getting up. Summer, summer, summertime. It'll be alright this time. When the world has gone goodbye, goodbye. There's a warm night wind. When she's gone in the blink of an eye, there's a whole world outside. In this life, we're like fireflies. There's a full moon shining tonight. And now I'm flying into the flame of Valentine's.
Joseph says, I definitely prefer this version. It's not close. Well, see, the amazing thing is none of that's real. All of that was created with Suno using the original sound as the basis for it. And it's, I mean, that's why Paul's 3 emails back to me were all caps. In fact, it says, I think Rachel here had one that says something like, how? Yeah, that's exactly what he said. He said, how are you doing this? And so, I mean, it's an absolute revolution in music. I mean, and what they're doing right now is really, really very crude, very difficult to control. You know, going spiraling off into the into the clouds somewhere. It's just not reliable at all. Sam says Skynet has taken over. I don't think so, because the thing is, you really have to have the human element to create it from. Now you don't need much. In fact, Suno only allows you to upload a maximum of 59 seconds or 60 seconds. And then it takes everything from that. Yes, you have to describe the right kind of sound. I'm gonna do some experiment with it. I'll play you. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try taking that as a starting point, and then I'm gonna tell it to do different styles. And I've seen a video where somebody has successfully taken the vocal off and then put a totally different vocal on it. I really want to learn how to do that. I haven't learned how to do that yet, but I mean, I know how to take the vocal off and have a real one, but Joseph and Silent Draco say, whoa. They both say, whoa. Truly scary. Yeah, Joseph, that is everything that I played you on the second part is completely AI generated. I mean, if you know his voice, you can hear the difference, and there's certain textures that, like Ender's a good guitarist, and he can always identify a Suno song just almost as soon as it starts, because there's certain sound textures that he identifies. But it's called Suno, S-U-N-O. It's not Suno.com. And it's really impressive what you can do. Now the problem is, it's still a little bit too up to the AI because you don't. It often does stupid things, and you can tell it, I want you to do an instrumental for 4 bars, and it just won't. There's still a lot of features and stuff, but it's going to be incredibly powerful for composing, and it's going to really allow people to compose stuff. But you still need that human element, because otherwise you're back at that problem I described, for the talented person. Well, what do you do? If you can do anything, what do you do? The human element is still deciding what is done. I'll play you what I'm actually going to put some of this stuff up on Spotify in the reasonably near future. This is the theme for Midnight's War. Where did I put it? Guess where I put it. Let's see. It's just Welcome to Midnight. Never remember where I put these things. Yeah. Anyhow, I believe this is the correct one. Yeah, this is it. So here we go. This is called Welcome to Midnight, and it's not going to be I don't imagine we'll do a Booster Patrol thing, a version of it. So this will probably be a Midnight World song. I might do an entire little set of Midnight's War related songs. So something with catacombs and et cetera. Cactus Eater Bear says, human element before or after, or all the songs will sound the same. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why so many of the existing Suno songs now are just not interesting, because the people that are doing them don't know. They don't. It's just like the problem you have with Twitter, or the problem you have with blogs. Anybody can say anything, but most people don't have anything to say. AI is not going to change that. It's just going to be a prettier way of not saying anything. So this is Welcome to Midnight.
Among the years, lurking in the corners, a phantasm of fears. Here in Malta gravestone, there a missing page, hiding in the shadows, awaiting the new age. And as the black sun rising, to the darkness, welcome to the night, welcome to the midnight world. Enter the high towers as only shadows can, and then reveal their powers to end the rule of man. So welcome to the shadows, enveloping the light. Feel the flag of death unfurled. Welcome to the darkness, welcome to the night, welcome to the midnight world. The shadows strangling the light. See the flag of death unfurled. Welcome to the darkness, welcome to the night, welcome to midnight, welcome to midnight, welcome to the shadows strangling the light. See the flag of death unfurled. Welcome to the darkness, welcome to the night, welcome to midnight, welcome to midnight, welcome to the midnight world.
So that was Welcome to Midnight by Midnight World, which is basically just me messing around with AI stuff. But, you know, it's really mind-blowing what can be done. I mean, there's so many things that I want to do now. There's so many things that I want to try now. I'll send you the download link to the instrumental, Rachel. You can give it a whack. But anyhow, you know, it just opens up a whole new range of things. And, you know, I understand, you know, the talented musicians probably kind of hate it. But the truth is it actually makes their life easier in that, you know, you've got some great musicians, like, for example, E-Rock, who, you know, he's a decent composer, but you know, he doesn't compose very much because it's very difficult. So it's so much easier and faster, and as the tools get better and better and you have more and more control over it, it's really going to let you do amazing stuff. I mean, you know, I've always wanted to write a Christmas carol, and this is a good way, you know, to be able to experiment with that. It'll be interesting to see if I can get one together in time for this Christmas. But you know, the opportunities are so interesting and so fascinating that, you know, yeah, there's a lot of wickedness in the world. Yeah, there's a lot of lies. Yeah, there's a lot of insanity. But you know what? There's still good. There's still truth. And there's still beauty, and it's incumbent upon us to pursue that. It's incumbent upon us to do that. The fact that we don't get to be massive rock stars, that we don't get to go to Tennessee and have people give us little glass trophies, who cares? I mean, honestly, how could you possibly care about that when you can play around with this and be producing stuff like that? You know what I mean? I mean, for me, it's it's about as close as it gets to just pure pleasure. It's like intellectual cocaine. I think that you have to be careful not to spend too much time on that, and not don't get sucked into amplifying things, and be sure that you keep up your legitimate manual talents as well, because you need both. You definitely need both. Anyhow, I've got a puppy who is is crying, so I will let you go. But one thing to add, for the last couple weeks, you were not able to make a new subscription to Unauthorized. It's been fixed. You can now. So if you're not subscribed to Unauthorized yet, I encourage you to do so. So I'm Vox Day, and this is the Darkstream.